Hello?
I told you, you're gonna die in 7 days. And here I am.
Why would you ring me up just to tell me you're about to kill me?
I warned you after you watched the tape.
Well, I reviewed your film and then I shared it. Isn't that the rule, that you have to leave me alone because I actually shared it?
Okay, then you have to watch a terrible film instead.
Can't be that bad.
And then I'll get back to you about what's gonna happen next.
All Hallows Eve, the evening your nightmares come to life, all the creatures of the night come out to play. It's time to pay tribute to this terrifying month, so join us as we celebrate the sinister season. This is the Venom month of horrors.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed the first ever Venom month of horrors with 31 days of pure terror in video form, but what better way to wrap it up than with a film supposedly scary, supposedly original, and no, it just sucks. This is one of the most famous stories in horror history, the iconic Man Upstairs urban legend, which this film only popularised further. This was such a hit, Wes Craven himself loved it so much he even paid tribute to it in his 1996 hit Scream. This has an opening that allegedly had audience members screaming and yelling at the screen, an opening that was voted as Bravo's 28th scariest movie moment ever, a film that grossed $20 million against a budget of just $1.5 million, also garnering a huge cult following. The picture started as a short in 1977 called The Sitter on a budget of just $12,000, with the babysitter being harassed on the phone. But after John Carpenter's Halloween dropped and became quite successful, you might have heard of it, director Fred Walton looked at it and said,
"Time for me to make money off your hard work."
But Roger Ebert called it sleazy, so it's not all bad.
No, I don't think so.
This was actually remade in 2006, and that version gets completely slammed, and I think it's vastly superior to this monstrosity. So exactly why do I find this film so overrated? Well, let's take a look. This is Fred Walton's 1979 When a Stranger Calls. So we open with our main character Jill, played by Carol Kane, arriving at a couple's house to babysit their kids. They're already asleep, so this should be a nice quiet evening with no interruptions whatsoever.
Hello?
The phone begins to ring from the famous killer, but he doesn't say anything at first. And this is one issue I have right off the bat. We are 4 minutes into this movie. 4 minutes. In the remake, it's completely different because the entire film takes place in one night, gradually building the suspense. Here, it's not a bad choice, but it's just weird that we've thrown this crap so quickly with no time to really get invested.
Have you checked the children?
What?
And then just 20 seconds later, he asks about the children. What the hell? Why is this so rushed? I don't get it. This would work if this was a short, but it's not. I mean, did Walton just copy and paste his short film script and then add 70 minutes of extra scenes after it, not caring about pacing? Oh no, you better be careful. It might be a goddamn ice machine. And it is. Wow, okay, so another film that Paranormal Activity ripped off. Awesome.
We'll let you have the credit.
The phone calls continue coming in and she gets a bit freaked out before saying screw it and getting plastered. I'll do the same thing. After a few more calls, she tries contacting the parents at the restaurant, but it turns out they've already left to go and see a movie. Preferably not this one.
I couldn't agree with you more.
She gets through to the police, but the cop claims they can't do anything because the caller isn't swearing or threatening her. But constant phone calls is harassment. Do your job, mate.
Hello?
Why haven't you checked the children?
Okay, that's a bit creepy. I'll give credit where it's due. This is decent stuff and the music really helps it. She locks the front door before beginning to make her way upstairs before the phone rings again to interrupt. Look, they even copy Halloween with the exact same shots of the empty house, indicating that it could be anywhere. It's okay, it won't be the last time that they completely blow John Carpenter's load.
Fantastic.
So she calls the police one more time, positive that the guy is outside watching her, but the cop still claims they can't do anything. What, he's outside the windows looking in and he's like, no, I can't do anything, it's locked, you're fine. Who hired this guy? The cops suggest she try to keep him on the line for at least a minute so they can trace the call, but I've looked into it, and back in 1979, it would have been impossible for them to track it that quickly. They would have needed around 10 minutes or so, minimum. But to be fair, her acting here is actually really good.
Thank you.
So he calls again, and for some reason now he wants to chat and stay on the line for a bit longer.
Dr. Mandrakis and his wife are coming home.
I know.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, that's creepy as well.
What do you want?
Your blood. All over me.
And that's absolutely terrifying.
Leave me alone!
Jill, this is Sergeant Sacker. Listen to me. We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house.
Seriously, what's up with that dopey ass look on her face?
I don't know.
Anyway, she decides to ditch the kids and make a break for it, even seeing his shadow, which is an awesome shot, by the way, before... Whoa, 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 whoa. What the?
Chestnut at 918X. 1000 Chestnut at 918X.
Are the parents here yet?
What just happened? Okay, so I guess she was saved? Sure, I'll take it. It turns out the guy butchered the kids upstairs and they'd actually been dead for hours beforehand. Which means he killed them when the parents were still home. Yet the mum said,
"Oh, the children are asleep upstairs. First door on your left at the top of the landing. Now, they're both just getting over really bad colds, and I had a terrible time getting them to sleep, so please try not to wake them."
Implying they've only just been put to sleep, or whatever. We then cut to 7 years later. That's alright, then they've got even more Halloween films to rip off.
He could be anywhere by now.
I don't think so. Because he's a foreigner, he'll come back to the city. After 6 years in confinement, that's the only place that's familiar to him. That's important.
Yeah, a psychopath who escapes a mental asylum and then chases down babysitters. This is completely original. Look, I get being inspired by somebody's work, but this is downright stealing somebody's work. The opening is yours, fine, great, but why not extend that? Why add all of this bullshit that just screams John Carpenter?
What's the matter with you? You really are crazy!
Anyway, the officer John Clifford, played by Charles Durning, is shown some audio tapes of the killer who's known as Kurt Duncan, played by Tony Beckley. The thing is, he doesn't sound like a deranged serial killer. He sounds hilarious.
We're not putting anything in your food either.
No. I don't eat the food. Doesn't taste right.
That's Duncan.
Good. Why are you fidgeting? Can't you get comfortable?
No. I'm not comfortable.
Yes! I have to emphasize the last word of every sentence. So then we cut to a completely different universe where we actually see Kurt Duncan. Are we sure this is the right guy? This is the dude who murdered 2 kids with his bare hands. This is the crazy, scary psychopath. This is this film's equivalent of Michael Goddamn Myers. Now, to be fair, this actually is not the actor's fault. See, Tony Beckley was terminally ill with either a brain tumour or possibly even AIDS, which was still a relatively unknown disease at the time. It was inconclusive at the time of his death, but he was good friends with director Fred Walton, so he just refused to cast him. So this is why he looks very frail and not the least bit intimidating. He'd unfortunately passed away not long after the movie was finished on April the 19th, 1980 at the age of 50, but from a filmmaking point of view... There's nothing I can say that won't get me in trouble here. He should have been recast.
See, that's the whole point.
Anyway, he offers his light to this woman. Who the hell is this? Where even are we? Is this even the same movie? Why focus on Jill and then skip 7 years later and start a completely different story? And I'm not even joking. The next third of this picture has nothing to do with the phone calls. Nothing whatsoever. This whole film is just a jumbled mess. So Kurt tries smooth talking her but gets rejected, so he offers to buy her a drink and gets rejected again. Wait, how do you even get the money? I mean, it's implied in the whole movie that he doesn't attack or mug anyone, so that's unlikely.
Why?
Anyway, clearly he's friends with Larry from the Wolfman because he continues to pester her. This is the goddamn serial killer you got, guys? Seriously? This isn't even the actor's fault, it's the writing. This isn't a serial killer. This is that weird smelly guy who hits on a girl at the bar so she has to pretend to be a lesbian with her best mate just to get rid of him. Anyway, eventually a dude steps in and Kurt looks absolutely petrified. This may be the worst killer in horror history. Yeah, probably.
You are kidding.
So we get this long, boring sequence of that random woman walking home. That's it. Just walking home. We even get a dramatic close-up of the elevator's level. Riveting stuff, this classic horror.
Oh, it's you. What do you want?
What? No, how about, what the fuck are you doing following me home, you crazy weird man?
Christ.
So they have a bit of a chat before her phone rings. She leaves her front door open near her stalker to go and answer it, and he just walks right in.
I got no place to go.
Not surprised when you stalk people like this.
Just a coffee. Please.
Well, maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow. When?
I said maybe.
Jesus, he's more clingy than my ex-girlfriend.
Appreciate it.
Finally, she threatens to call the police and he gets the picture before leaving. Why is a murderer so obsessed with dating this woman? I mean, the director based his character off of an old college acquaintance of his back in the day who'd walk in a room and instantly have everyone feel uncomfortable, but he also felt sympathy towards him, which is why he inserted that aspect for this character too. But why? I get loneliness, I get that, but why would he also be killing? There's no development on any of these personality traits, which could make for really interesting story arcs. There's no connection to any of them whatsoever. I mean, he does come back and softly knock on the door before trying to let himself in as she quietly locks it. I mean, that's really creepy and well done, so I'll give him that.
Thanks.
So Clifford asks around for witnesses, but I just have to wonder, if this guy is so dangerous, why would they only send one cop? And an old fat one too. Wouldn't that be like sending Officer Wiggum to bring in Jason Voorhees?
Help, police! Hey, I got problems of my own right now. Oh boy, this is gonna get worse before it gets better.
Anyway, he visits the lady who again leaves her front door wide open. Is she related to David from An American Werewolf in London? Were you all raised in a barn? By the way, how did Clifford find her house or even know that she had some kind of connection with the killer? Regardless, she agrees to work with him to bring Duncan in. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Clifford has a secret to reveal.
I'm gonna kill him, Charlie.
Why is this treated like a secret? Like, no shit. Of course you want to kill him. I mean, I get that they're trying to paint it like he'd just be as bad as Duncan for killing, but that's never really adapted on enough. It's just weird, and considering what happens later, it's moronic that they reveal this as if we didn't already know.
All right. Take your time. Do it good.
You mean do it well. Good English is important. This is our antagonist, ladies and gentlemen. Begging for money on the streets. I mean, I get that he's homeless, but you don't see Michael Myers shopping for food. You don't see Leatherface going on a butchery course. There's certain things you don't need to show, as it will obviously ruin the entire perception of the killer. In fact, how the hell can't they find him? Just go out in the street. He's wandering around collecting money. Just walk outside and you'll find him, mate.
Well, yes, of course.
So we follow her home again with scary, intense music playing, trying to build some kind of suspense, but all Duncan wants to do is date her, so there's not really a whole lot of tension. I mean, what's the dilemma? Whether he's going to take her to go see It or the Emoji Movie?
No luck. You see him?
Well, if you were really that close behind her, you didn't have much of a chance. You literally came in the door like 2 seconds after her. But uh-oh, Kurt Duncan is actually inside her apartment. How did he even get in? I mean, the door was locked when she got home and he doesn't have a key. Then again, she always leaves the fucking door open.
Oh, yes.
He attacks her with his hand over her mouth, but then just asks her to be his friend. It doesn't even make any sense for him to suddenly be threatening. Earlier, all he wanted was a coffee. Now all of a sudden he's homicidal. This guy has more shifts in his character than the Big Show in the WWE.
Oh my God, do you see the size of him?
Anyway, she screams for help, allowing Clifford to rush back for the save, but he manages to give him the slip. After we get a nice metaphor for the movie in the form of a wrecking ball, Kurt checks into a homeless shelter and receives a blowjob from somebody crouching out of frame and has a nice cry. Why is he crying? I was able to follow the Enter the Dark Knight stumbles more than this. I mean, he has flashbacks to his time in the asylum, but again, it's never really developed on further. This could actually be a really interesting and original film if it dove into the psyche of the killer, watching his mental state completely deteriorate as he began to feel remorse.
But this director said, nope, that's what they'd be expecting us to do.
So Clifford gets a tip from a homeless guy who points him in the direction of the shelter, where he starts checking people's faces and our killer is hiding under blankets, ladies and gentlemen. Our serial killer is hiding under his blanket.
A thing like that should never be allowed to happen again.
Anyway, the chase is on, but this looks more like a goddamn Looney Tunes cartoon.
Duncan!
Anyway, after the cop broke the cheapest doors in existence off their hinges, we cut to Duncan, who's now sweating and crying in a dumpster. Don't ask me.
Nobody can hear me. No one touches me.
You know, it's actually come to my attention that this may be the most evil and sadistic movie ever made. No, I'm being dead serious. Think about it. They cast a man who unfortunately contracted a terminal disease, and they refused to let him get away from the movie, and then they forced him to star in the most abysmal piece of crap they could come up with the most illogic, pathetic character ever, possibly worsening his entire condition and mental state, making his last few moments on Earth completely unbearable. You are scum.
I think an apology is in order.
Anyway, we then cut back to Jill? What? Who? What the fuck? You follow Jill at the start for 20 minutes, and then you just completely divert your story to another random woman for literally no reason, had no purpose to be over there, and then for the last, 15 minutes, you cut back to Jill again. Did you just mix up your screenplay? This is possibly the worst structured film I've ever seen.
Is that the best you can do?
So, Jill hasn't aged one bit in 7 years because I guess they couldn't afford makeup as she greets her kids.
Praise the Lord, my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord, my soul to take. God bless Mommy.
Wait, was that Duncan? Was that supposed to be an explanation for what's about to happen?
Hello, Mrs. Lockhart. I saw your picture in the paper the other day. Congratulations.
Yeah, it is. Okay, still doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, now I have the number of the restaurant here, and you know the number for police and emergencies 911. You know that, right?
No shit, not everyone is a dumbass. Not everyone wrote this film. Also, does her husband not look exactly like the dude from Halloween? Hopefully he'll have the same outcome.
District sales manager. It's about time.
Well, she didn't even thank the waiter for their food, the rude bitch.
Yes.
So Duncan somehow calls Jill at this precise restaurant at this precise time, and her reaction comes across more orgasmic than fearful.
Have you checked the children?
Oh yeah, baby, talk to me.
Oh, Sharon, this is Mr. Lockhart. What's going on over there?
Nothing's going on.
Is everything all right?
Yes, there's nothing going on. Everything's fine. Why?
The thing is, she actually sounds like she's being forced to lie, like Duncan's there making her say that. But it turns out she's not. She just can't act.
Please do me a favor. Just tell me truthfully. When was the last time you checked my children?
That's terrifying. She should be the killer. She sounds more terrifying than Duncan.
Do you see what I mean?
So they all rush home, but no one is there before the husband gets out his trusty shotgun and tries to sound intimidating.
I'll keep it right here beside me all night long. You know I'm a light sleeper and a damn good shot.
Mate, you're the only one here who looks less intimidating than the killer. Calm down.
Jesus.
So the local police only just discover Duncan's escaped and monitor the house every 20 minutes.
Hello. Cliff. I think I got something for you.
Wow, I actually have my interest here. Might be sequel bait. This is never mentioned again.
It's over now.
So Jill realises that her kids have been given some random candy. Why didn't Duncan just kill them? I mean, he did it before. And what kid wouldn't tell their parents they saw somebody else in their room? And how the hell did he get in? Do they leave their doors open as well? So Clifford tries to ring Jill, but her number's been disconnected, and to its credit, there are some nice moments of tension here.
You can't see me. You can't see me. What are you playing, peekaboo? You can't see me. I can see you. Can you see me?
But somehow Duncan is some kind of master ventriloquist because she's convinced that his voice is coming from the cupboard when whoop is right next to her on the bed.
That might have been me in my sleep.
I can tell the difference between you saying Katie from over there in the bed and something right here whispering Distinctly.
See, even Paranormal Activity has more logic than this! Yeah, I'm gonna take this seriously. Anyway, Clifford shows up and shoots him dead. They find her husband also killed. Why kill him and not the kids? And that's the end of the movie. Yeah. No explanation as to who Duncan was, or why he was obsessed with Jill, why he harassed her and then got locked up for 7 years, escaped, harassed someone else, and then specifically hunted Jill back down. She just cries, Clifford hugs her, she immediately stops crying for some reason, and then end credits! And that was When a Stranger Calls, and my god does this one suck! It just doesn't make sense, and the screenplay is all over the place. The two stories are completely separated and have no consistent flow with one another, and in fact, why is Duncan a killer at the end? The film goes out of its way to show that he's just a lonely guy. He never once attacks anyone he's around, even when he's alone. He covers that other woman's mouth, but then he just asks for a friend, so why is he suddenly a savage killer at the end? None of it makes sense. The acting is pretty wooden, and it's sad that not only the remake was scarier, but also the lesser-known sequel from 1993 was a hell of a lot scarier, and that actually had a killing ventriloquist. This is just a boring, unoriginal, unscary, poorly acted, sloppily written mess. The remake took the time to build on Jill's character. I mean, this one actually sacrificed her life to save the children, not completely abandon them. It was set in one night, which benefited the story, and actually got me a lot more invested than this crap. That was limited for locations and story, so it allowed them to be a lot more creative. Again, it wasn't perfect, but in comparison, it was a damn masterpiece. A sequel to that was planned, but then it was cancelled before production even began, but it will never change the fact that in 1979, this shitfest began a cult following of pure crap. And that's about it here at Venom Month, and... Hold on. Hello?
Have you checked the other room?
Oh, you, 'tis the season, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
The neighbours are awake and can hear you. That'd be the most hilarious thing in the world. They're like, mate, it's October, it's not even Halloween yet. What are you on about?